Hi, I'm Dave. Welcome to the channel. In this video, I'm going to look at this quite old Carrera Dodge Charger. Look at that, a stealth car. You can hardly see it. So I should probably take that off there. Now, in a curious twist of events, having recently been gifted an old scalextric car and done a video comparing old with new, I also got recently gifted by another friend of mine, Stuart, this Carrera Dodge Charger 500 street car. Now this car is from, I think they were made in 2001, 2 and 3. This particular one was made in 2002. And it gives me an opportunity to do another how have things changed kind of video, because I also have this Bobby Isaac number 71 USAC car, Dodge Charger 500. And while they may look exactly the same, and in fact, body shell wise, they are exactly the same, other than this one has the air vents and this one has the mirrors, they're not exactly the same at all, because this car was first produced in 2012. This particular one was made in 2020. And actually represents one of the first slot cars Mrs. Slottar bought me, so this is quite special to me. And Bobby Isaac is a legend. If you don't know who Bobby Isaac is, you should probably look him up. That's not so important. This car was made in 2002, so there's 10 years between these. Again, that's not important. What is important is that in those 10 years, 2007 happened. What happened in 2007 was Carrera introduced digital. Now, while both of these cars are Carrera 132 analog cars, this one is very different underneath to this one, because the introduction of digital meant the standardization of the chassis for the analog car to match, so that you can indeed convert these over. So there's a few differences here. And I thought in this video, we should probably go through those and have another little chat about progress, I suppose, because that's certainly progress right there. But first off, let's just pop this car on the turntable. But I think I'm going to have to find myself some white background or something, because we're not going to see this otherwise, are we? So here we have it then, on a white background that I probably should have ironed first. Sorry about that. The Carrera Dodge Charger 500 street version. I mean, what's not to like? It's a Dodge Charger, it's matte black, and it's got slot mag wheels on it. Really can't go wrong with that. I have to say, this is, I think it was the first iteration of the Dodge Charger shell that Carrera released, and I believe they did another street version which is yellow and quite hard to get hold of. And everything after that they've done has been a USAC or NASCAR race car livery. However, the body shell is exactly the same. They just keep popping them out of the mould. It's a great body. Why not? A couple of things of note. Being the street version, this car has larger wheels and large tyres and a slightly different stance. It's a bit more tail up, nose down than the race car versions. And this one has the wing mirrors, where the race car ones have the air intakes. Other than that, it is, from the outside, identical. It has these kind of, I don't know what they're supposed to be. I suppose it's supposed to be like dirt or mud sprayed up from behind the wheels. It's not particularly effective. I mean, it's sort of grey, and it wouldn't be. But other details on the car, the Charger badge on the front, the little Charger badge on the rear quarter, just behind the window there, and all of the other little, rivets and the filler cap and so on. Great detail. I mean, especially when you're considering this is 20 years ago. This isn't like, last week or whatever. Overall, great. And the driver, fairly detailed as well. Rear view mirror in there, all those bits and pieces. It looks great, let's be honest. Okay, then let's have a look at the differences. There are no differences here at all. All the differences are in here, although a lot of it is very, very similar. The front axles, in both cases, it's the same old setup. And indeed with the rear axles and the gearing and essentially the motors. The difference comes when we get to things like the magnets and the switch and the guide. But first off, I want to talk about the elephant in the room, as always with the Carrera car, which is the tyres. Now this car was made in 2020. I probably haven't had it out of a box and on a track for a couple of years. But these tyres are destroyed. That's melted. Look, it's all gone to... it's rubbish. These tyres, which are definitely 20 years old, in fact probably 22 years old, are still completely round. They don't have any flat spots on them. The rubber is still pliable, soft. Now, I know tyres come up a lot with Carrera cars, but the old school tyres, definitely better than these newer ones. And the newer ones still, we've yet to find out if they melt or not, but they're yet another formula of tyre which is harder and less grippy, certainly, than these appear to be by touch. Another interesting thing is all slot cars these days seem to come with Carrera stamped on the tyres. This one says Goodyear. Back in the old days, Carrera obviously went a little bit further with the licensing and bothered to get proper tyre maker names on the tyres rather than just copying out and putting Carrera on everything like they do these days. So in terms of the front guide, this guide is pretty good. It's a shallower guide and a shorter guide. Don't know if you can see that. Than the more modern Carrera guide. Although this, as we know, is designed to be interchangeable. Pull out the blade, replace the braids. We looked at this in the scalextric comparison. They've made it more user-friendly to maintain and change the braids, and they give you sets of braids. The changing guide to more suit the Carrera track, which is deeper, means they now have to provide you with another guide if you want to put the car on a scalextric track. This slightly older guide, they don't provide you with a different one because it works just as well on both. I'm not quite sure why they didn't just stick with this. I mean, by all means change the whole braid setup, which is a bit bizarre because these things are barely attached. They're only attached right in the front there, and they're a kind of push-in fit. And the rest of this is, it's not great, let's be honest. It's open to, you know, quite a lot of movement, poor contacts with the track. So yeah, I would say that the braid setup, while people don't like this double folded braid system, that's definitely progress, but I don't think the blade itself is. I think that's a backward step. Another thing that I suppose is a backward step in a way is, while we're used to the polarity switch, so you can go either way around a track on an analog car being in the middle here, in the old days it was down the side. Which means when you turn it over this way, there's the switch on the top. It is quite a crude big switch, it has to be said. However, it does the job. And the magnet, the main magnet at least, is in the middle here. Now it can't be in the middle on a post-digital analog car, because in order to make them interchangeable, that's where all the digital chips, LED goes, and so on and so on. Now this in itself, this little tiny circuit board, you may not be quite so familiar with.
You might be more used to something like this. This is an analog switch, but it has all of the circuitry to run the headlights and the brake lights on. This car doesn't have headlights or brake lights, so it's just a little tiny chip, and all that does really is replace that switch and these two resistors, which are actually just on there. So it makes it a little compact unit, and again, it means you can interchange it. But it does mean that on these cars, obviously you have a big magnet just fixed in the middle and another smaller magnet just behind the motor in there. On these older cars, these are much more adjustable and tunable, I suppose you might say, because they have a steel plate embedded into this plastic housing, and then the magnet is in the middle here, and you can move it. So you can adjust how tail happy or not the car is by adjusting the magnet, change the balance of the car. There is also a secondary magnet under here, which much like, I think it's the slotted cars, you can raise or lower the height of it. It's adjustable with these screws. All of this has been done away with in the more modern car. You just get a flat magnet in there and another one underneath there, and they're either in or they're out, and that's it. This, I mean, that's not progress. I understand they've had to do away with this a little bit because, you know, that needs to fit in there. But they could have done something, surely. But other than that, I suppose in plan view the chassis is pretty much the same. Certainly the bodies are interchangeable on these chassis, so all the screw holes are, and the front and rear section are in the same place. There's a bit more modern refinement on the more modern chassis in that you get these little reliefs for the axles, for the bushings, and a slanted underside, whereas this is stepped, and, you know, it's a more crude mould. You know, this is radius curves, this isn't. But beyond that, I mean, I think the plastic is the same, still the same grade of plastic. A lot of it, very, very much the same. So, again, much like the scalextric car, a bit of a mixed bag. I mean, some improvements. The guide is an improvement in its own way, but the blade isn't. The tyres are a backward step. And I think the magnet setup is a backward step. So actually, this is probably a step backwards in many ways, although it does allow you to convert it to digital and so on. The other thing with these guides is they rely on the spring of the wires to centre, whereas these ones, as we know, do actually have a spring inside to load them back to centre. So I suppose there's an advancement there. Again, I think the perfect car, much like the old and new scalextric, the perfect car is a bit of a blend of the two, really. And that's about it, I suppose. It's quite a short, talky video. I will just pop the body back on it and take it for a bit of a drive about. But yeah, I just wanted you to see this car and to just talk briefly about what Carrera had to do to their standard cars in order to make them work with their newer digital system in 2007. So yeah, let's put this back together and we'll do a few laps. This is a street car, so we don't need to worry about lap times. Let's put some tunes on and drive.
As always, thanks for taking the time to watch one of my videos. If you liked it, you will find a button specifically for that. Please subscribe to the channel, it's free and it really does help. And if you hit the bell, you'll get a notification the next time I post a video.